So I've literally just picked somebody up, put outside this pub to pick this one person up, and all of a sudden they come in and they say, "Oh, who are you for?" And I'm like, "Robert," and they're like, "Oh, you ever take these people on first? She's really not well. It's an emergency." And I was thinking, well, if it's an emergency, surely they need to go to the hospital. So I said, right, let me just ring the office now, I'll double check, because I don't want to say yeah and then I can't do it. Rang the office, I said, "Oh, is there a taxi coming for Grayson?" And they were like, "Yeah, such and such is bringing him over." And I was like, "Okay." I said, "Well, they've just," and I turned around and they literally just dumped her in the back of the taxi. I don't know whether she was drunk or passed out or I don't know what. So he just had to swap her over. He didn't have a choice. And I said, "Look, they've just dumped her in the back." I said, "I don't know what you want me to do." So with that, then people must think, right, that because you're a taxi driver, you could just take one, you could just chop and change what fares you have. You can't do that. If you've got a fare on your phone, you have to take them. You can't just nip down to bloody Chitterbirth and then pop all the way back, drive a bargain, and then go somewhere else, and so on and so on. You can't do it. There has to be a structure. There has to be things in place. So you have to do these certain jobs, not just go, "Oh, do you know what? I'll do this one first, and then I'll come back for you." It doesn't work that way. So anyway, I went and dropped these people off, and the guy was talking. And I said, "Oh, is everything all right?" And he was like, "Yeah, she's in a lot of pain, blah blah blah." I was like, "Right, okay." So we were talking, and he was asking who owns a taxi company that I drive for, and I told him, and he was like, "Oh, right, okay." He said, "Well, I know the original owner from years ago, back in the day, like." He was telling me all this stuff about them and that, and I didn't know any of this information, and I was a bit like, "Oh, never." So with that, then all of a sudden she chips in the back, starts talking, and some of it doesn't make a lot of sense. And then she's saying, "Oh, I'm in pain. Can you take the pain away?" Blah blah blah. And he's like, "Yeah, I will when we get home. Now I'll lay you down, give you, you can have a sleep, take your tablets or whatever, and I'll go take the dogs for a walk." All she heard was "take the dogs for a walk." "Well, you say you love me and you're taking the dogs for a walk, blah blah blah." And then she's calling him all the F's and the C's and all this, and I'm just thinking, hang on a minute, he's taking you home. And then she's telling him to pay the taxi. So she said, "Oh, did you give him a tip?" He's like, yeah. She went ballistic because he went in her bag because he couldn't get the money out of his pocket, and he was going to put the money out of his pocket back in her purse, sort of thing. She was going absolutely. They were arguing when I left.